I summoned 100,000 times in a row, but every summon was just an ordinary little skeleton. So, even the principal, who always thought highly of me, was deeply disappointed. The Joku had always been suppressed by me. Awakened the special class Dragon Soul Mage. But I only awakened the ordinary class Summoner. So I got mocked by the school bell's simps, but I didn't care at all and just lay around at home instead. That was because I had also awakened a supreme grade talent ahead of time. God's gifted hand, it gave me 1 essence point every second. Other people only get a few dozen points after clearing 1 dungeon, but I get 1 point per second. After doing the math for a bit, I realized that even if I did nothing all day, I could still get 86,400 evolution points just by lying in bed. So even the most ordinary summon could be evolved by me into a world-destroying mythic being. At this point, I had already been slacking at home for 4 days, and my evolution points had already reached 340,000. Next, I should use these evolution points. To raise the strength of my summons, I went to the training grounds and began summoning. As a strange light appeared before me, a skeleton monster made of nothing but bones appeared. Summon, skeleton. Common, evolvable, race, undead race. Tier 1, level 1, talent, painlessness, LV.1, no more talking. I'm dumping all these evolution points into it. With over 300,000 evolution points smashed into it, even a pig would be able to fly. Then I opened the summons panel and started crazily adding points. And the skeleton monster's stat panel kept changing non-stop, a new look every second. It was terrifying. Consume 1,000 evolution points to evolve into Skeleton Warrior. Consume 20,000 evolution points. Evolve into Skeleton General. Consume 300,000 evolution points. Evolve into Skeleton King. Race evolved into Undead Royalty. Obtained talent. King's Might, S-Rank skill. King's Pressure. Undead Control. Undead Flame. And I was already dumbfounded by then. I had just turned a common grade summon into an epic grade existence. I took a look. The essence required to upgrade it to legendary made me suck in a cold breath. It needed a full 5 million evolution points. But a legendary summon that needs this many evolution points must be absurdly strong. Then I summoned again. As light and shadow flickered, a tall figure, wearing black armor forged from the bones of unyielding warriors, appeared before me. Inside the hollow eye sockets of its skull, blue ghostly flames burned. In its hand, it tightly gripped a huge sword. Its blade was incomparably sharp. Summon, Skeleton King. Epic, evolvable, race, undead royalty, tier 1, level 1. Looking at how it was only level 1, yet already had such broken stats, I finally understood that I was invincible. Even so, my own body was still just as weak as before. Looks like that's the flaw of being a summoner. I'll have to get more defensive gear later. Or get more summons to act as bodyguards. After admiring my Skeleton King for a while longer, I retracted it and prepared to go home. As soon as I got home, I received a gift from the school bell. After opening it, I found that it was a full set of summoner equipment, plus skill scrolls, and all kinds of energy potions. Altogether, they were worth over 20,000 blue star coins. I was puzzled. Why would Shia Yu suddenly send me stuff for no reason? Whatever, free is free. I was planning to leave the city to grind tomorrow anyway. These are all life-saving items. I shifted my gaze to those summoner skill scrolls, and I actually saw a summon called Ghost. That skill scroll was something I had often seen in those materials before. It can possess the summoner and protect the summoner on all fronts. Too bad it was only a common grade ghost. Its protection ability wasn't even as good as a same level gear set, but for me, raising the ghost's talent rank was as easy as drinking water. I looked at my panel. I already had over 50,000 evolution points, so I smiled and directly used the ghost summoning scroll. I successfully gained another summon. Then, I casually summoned the ghost I had just learned. As light flickered, a figure floated in the air, like a hazy silhouette, appearing right before my eyes. Summon Ghost. Common, evolvable race, soul race. Tier 1, level 1, talents, possession LV.1, protection low grade. Looking at those miserable stats, I decided to test its possession ability. As soon as I gave the order, the ghost immediately drilled into my body. Then I felt like I was wrapped in something thick and dense. I lightly slapped that membrane with my hand. Right after that, a prompt sounded in my ear. Your common grade ghost summon has lost its protection skill. Hearing that prompt, I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Even though it was only a level 1 common ghost, that talent was actually damaged by such an ordinary slap from me. So I stopped wasting time. I directly started adding evolution points to the ghost. With a series of ding ding dings, consume 3,000 evolution points to evolve into soul spirit, consume 50,000 evolution points to evolve into soul body. Obtain talents Soul Guard and Spiritual Boost Barink. All other talents remain unchanged. Looking at my evolution points already used up, it was the first time I felt, that evolution points were so hard to make last. They were gone in no time. I summoned the ghost again. The figure that had originally been like a puff of smoke had now become a clearly visible white spirit body. It still floated in the air. One immediately tested its possession ability. As the white spirit body entered my body, a white glow instantly covered my entire body. I figured I should let the Skeleton King test the protection of that glow. As the portal disappeared, a tall figure appeared right in my room, and the instant it appeared, I discovered another use of the soul body. I actually couldn't feel any pressure at all from the Skeleton King. I directly ordered the Skeleton King to punch me. Of course, using only about 20% of its strength then, the Skeleton King punched straight toward my stomach. I was a bit shocked, because the Skeleton King's 10 points of strength actually couldn't shatter the glow in one punch. And when I looked at the soul body, my summons mana consumption was still under 10%. That meant with this soul body, I could effectively sink 2 punches carrying 50 strength from the Skeleton King. And this was only elite grade. If I upgraded it to epic grade, I wouldn't even know how strong it could get. But when I looked at the evolution points needed for the next upgrade, it was actually 500,000. I'd need nearly 6 days to save that much, but that wouldn't stop me from going out to grind. At that moment, on a leveling ground outside Tianqing City, a beautiful figure was rampaging mercilessly. On this plane, filled with level 5 to 6 monsters, other awakened classes nearby had only managed to kill 1 or 2 monsters, while that dazzling figure had already swept through an entire area with dragon flames. Her level also rose accordingly. That figure was none other than the school belle, Xia Yu. She was already level 6 now. Compared to the other classmates of the same batch, who were only level 2 or 3, her monster farming speed was simply terrifying. After a while, Xia Yu stopped grinding and started drinking mana potions. For some reason, she thought of me. She had originally wanted to invite me to come train with her, which basically meant carrying me. After all, ordinary summoners usually have pretty trash summons. But Xia Yu felt that doing that for me would make it seem like she had ulterior motives. In the end, she had no choice but to secretly send a set of equipment to me. Early the next morning, I stuffed everything into the Awakened class backpack and then prepared to head outside the city to the leveling zone. The first monster grinding area outside the city was full of low-level monsters, roughly around levels 1 to 5. Things like little rabbits and little slimes. There were a lot of people grinding there. Naturally, this wasn't where I planned to farm after all. If I directly released the Skeleton King here, the whole city would probably know by tomorrow. And these monsters were all too low level. The EXP they gave would definitely be far from enough to satisfy my leveling needs, so I bypassed the area entirely and headed farther out. My behavior naturally drew the attention of the other monster grinders. While fighting, they pointed and said, "Look at that guy. With gear like that, he still dares go farther in. Everything inside is level 10 and above. How is that any different from courting death?" At this moment, I entered the beast forest. Then I saw a fierce-looking giant wolf slowly approaching in my direction. "You dare take me as your target? You're pretty bold, aren't you?" Seeing that I seemed to be alone, the giant wolf sped up more and more. Once it reached a certain distance, it pounced at me without hesitation. But just as it was about to reach me, a huge ancient sword instantly split the wolf's body in half. Then it fell to the ground. A system notification also sounded in my ear. Summon Skeleton King. Has slain a level 10 forest giant wolf. Gained 127 EXP. A 27 bonus EXP for killing above your level. Level up requirement detected as fulfilled. Skeleton King's level increased. Soul body level increased. Hearing that notification, my head instantly grew bigger. Although summoners are theoretically invincible in combat power, in reality, raising them really does cost several times more resources and time than other people. After all, other classes only need to raise their own level. But summoners also have to take care of their summons. And not just one, but I'm different. Skeleton King, go find monsters nearby and farm them yourself. Kill whatever you find. Don't run too far. Do you understand? The Skeleton King's huge body nodded after hearing that. Then it carried its gigantic ancient sword and walked off in all directions. I wasn't worried at all about the Skeleton King getting into trouble. With those broken base stats of his and those countless talents, he was basically the big boss of this beast forest. An absolute crushing existence. As for worrying that other monsters might go around and attack the Skeleton King, the winged soul body wasn't for show. So then, I started wandering around leisurely while listening to the system's notifications ringing constantly in my ear. Your summon, Skeleton King, has killed a level 10 forest giant bear? Gained 144 EXP and 33 bonus EXP for killing above your level. Obtained loot, Forest Core X1. Summon, Skeleton King, has killed a level 11 ferocious giant wolf. Gained 188 EXP and 11 bonus EXP for killing above your level. Obtained loot, Ferocious Fang X1. Your summon, Skeleton King, has killed. This feeling of practically lying down while grinding levels and collecting loot for free was so satisfying it blew my mind. Summoner life? Is this boring and monotonous? I was just lying there comfortably, when suddenly, the system notifications that had been ringing nonstop in my ear abruptly stopped. What's going on? Did something happen to my Skeleton King? I hurried toward the Skeleton King's location. While checking its stats, I discovered the Skeleton King was actually losing HP. Clearly, it had met an opponent. Sure enough, when I arrived, what I saw was a huge body, fighting fiercely with the Skeleton King, a gigantic giant bear. Its violent power and muscular body sent chills down one's spine. The main reason was that although the Skeleton King's attacks dealt a lot of damage to the giant bear, quite a lot in fact, the giant bear immediately healed it back up. Thick skin, tons of HP, and this tanky too. This thing was definitely a boss. Then I started thinking about how to kill this boss, but I guessed this giant bear boss was at least elite grade 2. And probably not low level either. Otherwise, with the Skeleton King already at level 5, its stats shouldn't possibly be lower than the opponent's. After some thought, I realized that giant bear boss had already used almost all the talents it could. Meanwhile, my Skeleton King was just stupidly using its sword to hack at the bear. It was like an idiot. I told you to grind monsters, not mindlessly swing at them. With all these talents and skills, are you not going to use even one? Seriously unbelievable. I slapped my forehead. Looking at any random S-rank talent skill of the Skeleton King, I didn't know what to say. Skeleton King, stop holding back. Use your full power to kill that giant bear in front of you. As my words fell, the Skeleton King, which had only been using its ancient sword to dumbly chop at the giant bear, suddenly burst forth with an unparalleled aura. It charged straight at the giant bear. Immediately after, the Skeleton King's body also instantly expanded several times over. Then, the pale blue flames on its ancient sword also flared up, and the giant bear, which had originally still been able to resist the Skeleton King's attacks, was instantly intimidated by that oppressive aura and didn't dare strike back. It just stood there blankly, frozen. Then, that huge sword wrapped in pale blue flames was swung by the Skeleton King. A single slash landed on the body of that giant bear boss. The giant bear that had still been full of life moments ago was swallowed by the pale blue flames, turning to ashes. A system prompt also came from my side. Your summon, Skeleton King, has slain a level 20 elite forest chosen. Obtained 2,252 EXP bonus for overlevel kill. Obtained elite special reward gained. Beginner elite treasure chest by 2. Obtained loot. Forest Spirit X1, Bear Claw by 1. Looking at the giant bear that had been one-shot by a single slash, I couldn't help but sigh. My Skeleton King really was strong. But at the same time, I also felt that my Skeleton King had acted like an idiot earlier, just using its sword the whole time. Just as I was about to open the treasure chest, a strange sound suddenly came from the distance. It seemed like a small team was rushing this way. I quickly told the Skeleton King to hide me. I didn't want to expose my Skeleton King after hiding in a patch of grass. I first retracted the Skeleton King. A moment later, a small team appeared in front of me. It was exactly where that forest bear had been. It locked onto this spot and then vanished. What now? A young man holding a staff? Clearly, a mage-class boy held a scroll in his hand. Looks like it shouldn't have run far. It should be nearby. Hurry up and search. After all, that giant bear was an elite special monster. If that elite treasure chest happens to drop some top skill scroll or something, we'll strike it rich. I hid in the grass nearby, listening to their conversation, while secretly thinking, is an elite treasure chest really that valuable? So, should I sell it or open it? Those people spread out and searched around for a while, but found no clues at all. Only after some time did they finally leave. Only then did I come out of the grass. But not long after walking, I realized I was being followed. It had to be someone from that team. That wouldn't do. If they kept following me, how was I supposed to grind monsters? How would I raise my level? Then I suddenly remembered. wasn't my Skeleton King? Basically a ready-made elite monster. Since they wanted loot so badly. Then fighting? An epigrad monster shouldn't be a problem either, right? Thinking of that, I suddenly laughed. As long as I don't personally admit it, who would know it's my summon? As the skill activated, a portal quietly appeared in the distance. Just farm like normal. Kill whatever you see. Don't be picky. If you encounter a human team, play with them a bit. Don't use skills and don't get serious. After sending the order to the Skeleton King, I leisurely took a walk and left. Now it was time to see how that team would deal with my Skeleton King. The Skeleton King, having received the order, also left with its ancient sword. It started searching for prey in this forest. I roughly calculated my loot in just about half a day. I had already earned over 100,000 blue star coins. That would be impossible for awakened people of other classes. Just when I was still thinking about how much money I could make, I suddenly got a prompt. Your summon, Skeleton King, is under attack. Looks like my Skeleton King had already been discovered by that team. Otherwise, there shouldn't be any monster left that could hurt it. I was very curious, how would those people deal with my Skeleton King? I had a feeling that team might get cut down one by the Skeleton King, so I hurried toward the Skeleton King's direction. I was afraid that if I arrived just a little late, the match would already be over. At this moment, the person in the team assigned to track me had already found the Skeleton King. What he saw was simply unbelievable. That skeleton monster was actually still killing other monsters, so he quickly contacted the other team members. When the rest of the team arrived, they saw the Skeleton King's huge body and that huge sword that killed one normal monster per slash, and they all gasped in shock. If that slash comes down, I probably couldn't block it even at full strength. Are you sure we want to fight it? A warrior in the team wearing armor and holding a shield said fearfully. Fight? What? Isn't that just feeding ourselves to it? Let's sell this information to those guilds. We'll just lie back and collect the money. But just as the team was discussing leaving, a figure quietly appeared behind them. In an instant, a huge ancient sword came straight down in a slash at the spot where that warrior had been standing. The warrior, who had been teleported away by transfer magic, was also left shaken as he looked at the gigantic skeleton figure that had suddenly appeared behind everyone. Crap, we've drawn this monster's attention. The Skeleton King swept its gaze over the group, then instantly locked onto a target, a mage-class boy standing closest to it. Then it grabbed its ancient sword and rushed straight at that mage's position, swinging its sword down. Fireball, a fist-sized fireball, appeared before the mage, then shot toward the Skeleton King. But when that fireball struck the Skeleton King's body, it was like nothing more than a scratch. It didn't affect its momentum at all. Frost art, right after that. Another spell attacked the Skeleton King. The Skeleton King's legs, which had been running, were suddenly covered in frost. Then it got stuck. Don't just stand there. Come save me already. In an instant, a warrior in full armor, holding a shield, stepped to the very front and behind the Skeleton King. A figure holding a dagger stared at the Skeleton King, ready to deliver a fatal blow. Meanwhile, the girl in the team held a staff and cast support spells on the warriors standing in front. Strength boost, endurance boost, protection spell. After casting those 3 spells, the girl then picked up a mana potion and started drinking it. Further away, there was also a man holding a bow, continuously firing arrows at the Skeleton King, though they were useless. I also arrived at that moment. Looking at the team that had already assumed battle positions, I couldn't help but sigh. Putting in all this effort to prepare everything, just so you'd look better when you get wiped out. That warrior, who was clearly the main tank, was sent flying by a single slash from the Skeleton King. Then he crashed into a nearby tree, stuck there so hard he couldn't even fall down. I was afraid they'd get instantly killed. So I ordered the Skeleton King to summon skeleton soldiers to play with them. As the Skeleton King swung its massive arm around, the ground began to tremble slightly. Then one white bony hand after another stretched out from the soil, gripping the ground tightly and pulling entire skeleton frames out from the sleeping underworld. Just like that, dozens of skeletons appeared by the Skeleton King's side. But what I didn't expect was that while the Skeleton King was summoning those skeleton soldiers, those people actually ran away just like that. Wouldn't chasing them now be like intentionally letting them go? Whatever, I didn't really want to kill them anyway, so there was no need to pursue them. Seeing that it was getting dark, I retracted the Skeleton King and headed home. But what I didn't expect was that as soon as I got home, I saw my Skeleton King on the news. It was that mage from the team I encountered during the day. That mage boy. describing the terror of that undead skeleton. Seeing that scene, the heart I'd been holding up finally sank. Well then, I was officially exposed. And now, everyone in the city knew about it. Though they probably didn't have a photo of the Skeleton King. The reason I was worried about exposing my Skeleton King was that I was afraid I'd get captured for research. Looking at the additional 80,000 plus evolution points I had just gained, I felt a wave of relief. I had to carry this act of playing the pig to eat the tiger to the end. I planned that when I sold the loot tomorrow, I would get myself an ordinary summon to use as camouflage. Early the next morning, I arrived at the trading house. The attendant looked at me with a smile and asked, "How may I help you, sir? I'm here to sell loot. Can you give me a better price?" The man still smiled and said, "That depends on how much loot you have. If it reaches a certain amount, you can become one of our members." Just as the man thought that I had only just awakened, and couldn't possibly have much loot as a new awakened class holder, the previously empty floor instantly piled up with all kinds of teeth, claws, and similar loot. The man's jaw dropped in shock. This guy's awakened class must be very strong. Otherwise, how could he kill so many monsters in the teens? I need to build a good relationship and latch onto this thigh. "Esteemed customer, please wait here a moment. I'll go call the chairman," I nodded. Why did he suddenly run off? Shortly afterward, a somewhat plump man came out. He came right up and grabbed my hand. Hello. I'm the vice chairman of the Tianyang Merchant Association. My name is Yunnan Tian. I'm kind of Emperor Star, the people in charge of this trading house. All this polite. Then he somehow produced 2 cards from nowhere and held them in his hand. Then said to me, "This bank card has 2 million in it. 1 million is the money from buying your loot. And the other million is our Tianyang Merchant Association's investment in you. There's also this one. It's a supreme gold card with a 1 million credit limit from our association. So, little brother, what do you think?" When I heard the vice chairman's words, I didn't even know what to say. Aren't I just a tiny little summoner? How did things turn into this? Seeing that I didn't say anything, the vice chairman directly stuffed both cards into my hand. And then left immediately, not giving me any chance to refuse. Since when are people forced to accept money like this? Since he called it an investment, I decided to accept it. Then I took the 2 cards and went straight into the shopping center for a major shopping spree. First, I spent nearly 500,000 Blue Star coins to expand my backpack space to 50 cubic meters. Then I spent another 300,000 Blue Star coins to buy a full set of second-tier summoner gear. Not only did it have high stats, it also had a passive skill, healing. C rank, when HP falls below 50%, it instantly restores 10% of your health. Then, for the next 60 seconds, it restores 1% HP per second. Lastly, I bought 2 common grade summons, a wolf and an eagle. I planned to use those to summons to disguise myself as an ordinary summoner. A few days later, at the farthest monster farming zone from Tianjin City, the Yunling mountain range, this farming zone started with monsters level 15 and above, and this place, even level 20 plus farming teams, didn't want to come here. Okay, so if they weren't careful, they'd risk a total team wipe. But at this moment, there was actually a young man lying leisurely on a beach chair, comfortably sunbathing on the mountain ridge. Beside him was a small table, which even had snacks and drinks on it. From time to time, violent impacts could be heard all around. Whenever that happened, the young man would frown, then shout, "Skeleton King, what are you doing? Can't you see I'm comfortably sunbathing here?" That's right, the young man lying on the beach chair was me, because the beast forest had already been sealed off by the authorities before, and I didn't want to go to low-level places. I eventually settled on grinding here in the Yunling mountain range, and as for the Skeleton King, it was still one-shotting these monsters with a single slash. It just needed to cast one more skill. As for me, at worst, it only consumed a little extra mana. It wasn't a big deal at all. After grinding for the past few days, I successfully raised the Skeleton King's level to level 10. As for me, both I and the soul body had also reached level 10. If I wanted to level up any further now, I'd have to wait until passing the first job advancement test before breaking the cap. Otherwise, not only would my own level be unable to increase, but my summons levels wouldn't be able to increase either. But what annoyed me the most was that the first job advancement test usually only opens after the Awakened One's college entrance exam is over. I'd still have to wait nearly 20 more days, at least. Before that, I wouldn't be able to gain even a single level. Of course, the EXP I gained would still keep accumulating there. Once I pass the first job advancement test, I can instantly jump to level 20 or even level 30. I'm seriously speechless. With my level capped like this, I had no choice, so all I could do was mindlessly grind monsters out of boredom. By now, the Skeleton King had grown much stronger. Summon, Skeleton King. Evolved race, undead royalty. Tier 1, Level 10. And before I knew it, the college entrance exam had arrived. On the day of the trial, my good buddy Fatty and I arrived at the Awakened One's exam arena. It was a giant venue packed with people, and inside the hall, there were rifts everywhere. I recognized them at a glance. Those rifts were dungeon entrances. Then I was assigned to stand beside one of the rifts, and around me stood a dense crowd of people. After a while, inside the arena, the broadcast rang out. This year's Awakened entrance trial would be a dungeon trial. According to each candidate's performance in the dun, Gion, the loot they obtained from killing monsters, would determine their final score. Each dun Gion's assessment would contain 100 people. The exam duration was 3 days. Inside the dungeon, candidates were forbidden from attacking, killing, framing, or harming one another in any way. If discovered, they would be punished by law. After the broadcast repeated itself 3 times, I entered the dun. Jian, together with the other candidates, Xiaoyu and Fatty, went into other dungeons. As light flickered, my figure appeared in a dense forest. I was speechless. I'd already stayed in forests for so long, and now that I'd finally entered a dungeon, it still turned out to be a 4 EST. After sighing about it, I started wandering around, but casually summoned the Skeleton King at the same time. After all, as a summoner, there was no way I'd be personally fighting monsters myself. Soon after, a prompt came. Your summoned Skeleton King has killed an LV11 Forest Treant. Gained 134 EXP and 28 bonus EXP for killing above your level. Obtained loot, Forest Heart X1. The monsters in this dungeon were much stronger than the ones outside. But they were still instant kills in front of the Skeleton King. Meanwhile, most of the other candidates taking this trial were struggling hard to attack these forest treants. The forest treants were slow and had basically no offensive power for most people. Their attacks felt like nothing more than tickles to the forest treants. Every time they dealt a few dozen damage, the treants would just heal it right back with their talent. It was disgustingly annoying. At this moment, Xiaoyu was holding a staff and facing a forest treant, Dragon Flame. The next second, a fire-formed dragon head emerged from her staff. Then the flaming dragon head slammed directly into the forest treant immediately afterward, the flames spread across the treant's entire body, instantly depleting all of its HP, and it couldn't heal back at all. That was the terrifying damage output of Xiaoyu, the Dragon Soul Mage. Xiaoyu had also already raised her level to 10 early on, making her one of the earliest awakened professionals to reach level 10. Yun Yi, how are things on your side? Can you handle the forest treants? Xiaoyu was still quite worried about me. After all, if someone messed up this exam, they could forget about getting into those awakened academies. But all of that worry was completely unnecessary, because in just half a day, I had already taken down more than 50 forest treants. Of course, I also noticed that the number of forest treants seemed to be dropping. What I didn't know was that forest treants in the dungeon respawn at a fixed rate every day, and there were only around 100 of them per day? Why are there so few monsters? If there are no monsters left, then how am I supposed to get loot? I felt a little depressed. Inside the dungeon, there was also a short red-haired girl who looked like a doll. She had also killed around a dozen forest treants, and she was still killing them. Soul Pierce. At this moment, the red-haired girl was holding a black aura-covered dagger, then stabbed fiercely into the huge forest treant in front of her. The black aura clinging to the dagger rapidly spread across the forest treant's entire body. Then with one more slash, a forest treant with over 2000 HP just collapsed before the red-haired girl's dagger. Too easy. I really don't know what the examiners were thinking. Arranging such a weak monster? It's simply not interesting at all. Meanwhile, the girl searching for targets was also puzzled. There were quite a lot of these things earlier, so why? Had they almost disappeared by noon? Who exactly is stealing my monsters? With no monsters left to farm, I lay back down on the lounge chair and started enjoying my leisurely sunbathing again. At the same time, inside a huge control room, Chun Shi, the chief person in charge of this awakened college entrance trial, looked at the ranking board and felt both gratified and puzzled at the top geniuses listed on it. Ranked second and third were Chung Guang, who had awakened Titan Soldier, and Ling Chun, who had awakened the class hailed as the Heaven Slasher, is said to be able to cut through everything in the world, but the one ranked first, Yun Yi, had only awakened an ordinary summoner class. Compared to those on the list, he simply shouldn't measure up at all, yet he directly suppressed all the others to become number 1. How did he even manage that? Forget it, whatever. Once the first day's assessment ends, I'll just go ask that brat directly. As time passed quickly, the first day's dungeon trial officially ended. All the candidates who took part had to directly submit the loot they had obtained in the dungeon this time. I handed over more than 50 forest hearts to the staff for calculation. After they counted and cashed them out, I stopped caring about it and prepared to head home. But before I even made it out of the arena gate, the staff called out, saying, "Someone wanted to see me." Then I was brought into a room. Sitting on a sofa was a man. I looked up and saw a middle-aged man with a deep scar across his face. "Sit down, Yunye." I sat down on the opposite sofa without any politeness at all. So, what exactly do you want from me? The middle-aged man smiled. My name is Chun Shi, and I am the chief person in charge of this awakened entrance examination. You clearly awakened an ordinary summoner class, yet your results in this trial have been extremely outstanding. I need to investigate whether cheating is involved. Looks like I wouldn't be leaving this room today unless things were made clear. I wasn't worried at all, because I had long prepared for the possibility of exposing this much. Skeleton General? As Yunyi's voice sounded out, a portal appeared inside the room, then a skeleton wearing armor and holding a long blade appeared right there in the room. Can I leave now? Chun Shi looked at the suddenly appearing skeleton in front of him and immediately saw that it was not an ordinary skeleton, but an elite-grade skeleton general. No wonder. His summon was actually an elite skeleton general. No wonder he could overpower all the great geniuses and take first place. I smiled inwardly. I had already anticipated this kind of situation. So I got another skeleton summon learning scroll and simply raised a skeleton to a skeleton general, then left it alone. I didn't expect it to come in handy so soon. But when I upgraded the skeleton general, I also saw something new. A skeleton general could evolve not only into a skeleton king, but also into another branch called the Eid King. However, evolving into it required another 100,000 evolution points, more than evolving into a skeleton king. This was precisely the hidden talent of God's gifted hand. World Technique could unlock a summon's hidden branch. I wanted to try it, but also felt a bit reluctant, because I still wanted to see just how strong a legendary grade skeleton lord would be. Also, before that, I had wanted to upgrade Soul Body to the 10th stage, but I discovered a problem. Special races like Soul Body required special materials for evolution and couldn't be upgraded using evolution points alone. So, Soul Body's growth could only wait until later. After I exposed the skeleton general, Chun Shi no longer gave me a hard time. He only treated it as me being lucky. But the news that I ranked first on the first day of the Awakened College entrance trial spread everywhere. Everyone was shocked to learn it was me, an ordinary summoner, had actually taken first place. That's way too insane. My Xiaoyu, goddess ranked 7th. So amazing. And when Xiaoyu saw Yunyi's name ranked ahead of her, her eyes were full of shock, and at the same time, there was also a sense of excitement. And when Fatty saw this news, he was completely dumbfounded and immediately called me. Damn it, what is with you? You, Brett? Playing the pig to eat the tiger, huh? You actually kept pretending for so long right in front of me. I was baffled after hearing that, but just as I was about to hang up, another call came in. Hello, is this student Yunyi? I'm the vice president of the Tianyun Merchant Association. We've decided to add another 5 million as an investment for student Yunyi. The money has already been transferred to your card. Please check it. I never expected that getting famous would bring me even more investment. After that, calls and text messages kept flooding in, either from prestigious university presidents or from various guild forces. On the second day, I secretly came to the dungeon, afraid of being discovered. This time, I had learned my lesson. I decided to just kill a few forest treants, casually, get some loot, and not push my rank too high in case I attracted everyone's attention again. So I randomly found a spot, set down a lounge chair, and leisurely. Late on this time, I didn't summon the Skeleton King. Instead, I summoned the Skeleton General and had it stand guard nearby to stop the forest treants from disturbing me. But just as I was quietly lying there, I suddenly felt a cold killing intent coming from behind. Immediately after that, a figure shot out from some unknown corner in the distance, rushing straight at me, Soul Body. In an instant, I summoned Soul Body and quickly fused it onto myself. At the same time, I also summoned the Skeleton King in front of me to block that figure's attack. When that figure saw the suddenly appearing gigantic Skeleton King, it instantly started trembling. A young girl's voice suddenly entered my ears. Only then did I realize that the figure who had rushed over so suddenly was the girl in the same dungeon as me. I asked in confusion, "What are you doing here?" When the red-haired girl saw me, she said angrily, "You summoned this thing. Hurry up and call it back. It scared me half to death." Looking at the girl acting both angry and scared, I burst out laughing. Then I retracted the Skeleton King. So what exactly do you want with me? Once the red-haired girl saw that I had withdrawn the Skeleton King, she was no longer afraid. With both hands on her hips, the red-haired girl said proudly, "I'm here this time to challenge you to a duel." I refused to accept. How you managed to rank ahead of me? Then a dagger suddenly appeared in the red-haired girl's hand. Helplessly, I said, "First of all, the exam rules don't allow candidates to kill each other. Second, even if I fought you, can you even beat the Skeleton King?" After hearing what I said, the red-haired girl immediately sorted things out in her head. It really did seem like she couldn't. But she still said to me loudly with a proud face, "I've got it. My name is Lin Mengyao. My class is Soul Assassin. Once I pass the first advancement and get my talents, I'll come challenge you again." After saying that, Lin Mengyao turned to leave. But letting someone act cool and walk away, that would be like slapping my own face. Besides, she had also interrupted my Sweet dream. Stop right there. Who said you could leave? Lin Manhwa, who had been about to walk away, stopped again when she heard me. What do you want? Yunye revealed a faint smile. Actually, I still have another weaker summon. As long as you defeat it, that counts as your win. How? About it? Fine. Then I'll give it a try. Then I summoned the Skeleton General. When Lin Manhwa saw that I had summoned another skell, Eaton, she originally wanted to say she wouldn't fight, but then realized this skeleton looked, not very strong. Skeleton General, go. Then Lin Manhwa began fighting the Skeleton General, of course. To keep Lin Manhwa from getting seriously hurt, I deliberately had the Skeleton General attack her only with its fists. Lin Manhwa, an assassin who hadn't undergone first advancement yet, naturally had lower stats than the Skeleton General, not. Long after, I heard Lin Manhwa's muffled groans and screams. No, stop. At least, be gentler. Don't hit there. It hurts so much. I looked at Lin Manhwa's bruised and swollen face, and my previously gloomy mood instantly improved. Stupid woman, trying to act all arrogant in front of me. Feeling better now? And when Lin Manhwa saw that the Skeleton General had already been reduced to a pile of bones, she finally relaxed. Then, with a bruised face and torn clothes, came in front of me and said proudly, "That means I won, right? Don't you dare go back on your word." As Lin Manhwa drew closer, I could clearly see large patches of her exposed, snow-white skin. My face, which had been normal just a moment ago, instantly turned red. Lin Manhwa also lowered her gaze to her own clothes and immediately cried out, "Yun Yi, you shameless pervert." As she said that, she tried to throw a punch at Yun Yi, but there was no way I was going to let her hit me. I directly waved my hand. "Surname Lin. This round counts as your win. We'll meet again next time." Watching me already run? Far away, Lin Manhwa was both embarrassed and furious. She had never expected to be seen through like Ver and bullied so badly. Yunye, just you wait. Even if I become a ghost, I won't let you off. What I hadn't expected this time was that even with such a huge gap in raw stats, Lin Manhwa had actually managed, through kiting and all kinds of real combat techniques, to trade damage with the Skeleton General. It made me look at her in a new light. But at the same time, I was also curious what that black aura attack attached to Lin Manhwa's dagger actually was. It had managed to ignore the Skeleton General's armor and shield and directly reduce its HP. It seems I really can't look down on other awakened classes either. A strong sense of crisis instantly hit me. What I wanted was absolute crushing superiority. No, I really had to work harder. If I kept lazing around like this, sooner or later I'd be finished. I suddenly felt fired up. To better myself? Then, after sending the skill, Eaton General out again, Yun Yi lay back on the lounge chair once more. Sunbathing really is calm. Affordable, it's enough if my summon works hard. Why would I, a summoner, need to work hard myself? Then I shouted toward the Skeleton General, who was grinding monsters. "Skeleton General, hurry it up. Otherwise later, I'll dock your EXP, got it? Look at your superior, the Skeleton King. When it grinds monsters, that's what you call diligence. Look at you. You can't even kill a forest treenin one slash? What good are you? If you won't do it, there are plenty of skeletons who will understand." Although the Skeleton General didn't know what Yun Yi was saying, for some reason its movements sped up a lot after hearing Yun Yi's words, as if it were afraid of being replaced by me, its summoner. That's more like it. Work hard. Later on, you'll definitely be the first one I invest evolution points in, because I didn't want to attract too much attention. Inside the dungeon, I only used the Skeleton General to symbolically kill a few forest hearts, and then stopped grinding. Most of the rest were farmed by the crazed Lin Manhwa and a few candidates who had formed teams. By the time the second day's trial ended and the loot was tallied, my overall ranking had nearly dropped out of the top 100. Xia Yu's ranking fell to 9th place, while the original 10th place had actually become Lin Manhwa. I had to admit, this Lin Manhwa was really hardworking, and the people online, when they saw my name fall directly out of the top 10 rankings, most of their earlier surprise and confusion instantly turned into cold ridicule. I knew it. How could some random country bumpkin possibly rank first? He must have just been lucky. Damn it, and here I thought it was some poor kid's comeback story. Turns out, it's just this. What a waste of time. I looked at the comments online and didn't care. A high ranking would only increase the possibility of exposure. How else was I supposed to keep playing the pig to eat the tiger? At the same time, in a villa in the capital, Changwon lay on a sofa, looked at Yunye's name that had already disappeared from the ranking list, and sighed. I thought this kid could keep suppressing me, and that Lin guy, but in the end, he only stayed first for one day. I had originally wanted to wait until the trial ended, and then go challenge that kid to a duel. At that moment, the butler beside him suddenly said, "Young master, this Yun Yi might have done it on purpose. I think he was just trying to draw the public's attention from the information I gathered. Yun Yi's first Summon is a skeleton general with elite tier talent potential. An L. E tier summon? Then this kid's talent is at least first rate. He's hidden it well. In 2 days, prepare a plane for me. I'll personally go test that Yunye skeleton general. Yes, young master. The first thing I did after returning home was look up information. Once the college entrance trial was over, you'd either join a guild or enter a university. Universities focused more on training, talent, and research, while guilds emphasized real combat and monster grinding. After thinking it over for a while, I decisively chose to go to university first and lie low for a few years. By then, once my summons had all become some kind of 10 grade or even higher grade beings, I could come out again and slowly level up and grind monsters. That would be 2 birds with 1 stone. As for which university, naturally, it had to be the best one, Jinwu University. So I immediately made a phone call to Jinwu University's admissions office. Hello, teacher. I want to attend Jinwu University. What would I need to prepare? Student Yunyi wants to come to our Jinwu University, right? That's absolutely wonderful. The conditions we can offer you will definitely be the highest among all these universities. As long as you come, you'll receive 1,000 academic credits, equivalent to 10 mil. Lion Blue Star coins, plus 3 excellent grade summon learning scrolls worth 2 million Blue Star coins each. And a first advancement, 2nd tier summoner staff. I was shocked after hearing this. As expected of a top school, the terms were amazing. There was no need to think about it. I accepted on the spot. On the 3rd day, to keep from being discovered by Lin Mengyao, I even specially put on glasses and a mask. After all, if I ran into Lin Mengyao, I felt like she might actually kill me. After entering the dungeon, I had originally planned to do the same as the day before and just casually farm a few pieces of loot, then stop acting. But I suddenly received a message. Emergency situation. Emergency situation. The monsters in the dungeon have mutated. The monsters in the dungeon have mutated. All candidates, please withdraw immediately. All trial participants, please withdraw immediately. Hearing this, all the candidates in the dungeon were dumbfounded, until they saw that the forest treants had become somewhat different, ginally. As long as the candidates didn't provoke them, the forest treants basically wouldn't attack first. But these mutated forest treants charged at the candidates like zombies. Seeing those huge figures rushing toward them, most candidates directly withdrew from the dungeon. But once they withdrew from the dungeon, their recorded scores were immediately cancelled. Some people, however, discovered that their counted score had been cut in half instead. When they tried to argue with the staff, they were told that anyone who withdrew from the dungeon, without putting up any resistance, was no different from a deserter on the battlefield. Not having their results cancelled outright was already generous. Only then did the candidates understand that this too was part of the exam. Someone like me, on the other hand, SPY Charlie went looking for those forest treants. Seeing how different the forest treants were from before, I directly summoned the skeleton general to test how strong these mutated monsters were. Forest treant mutated species. Tier 1, level 10, race, forest race, talent, life, spirit, rank, life shield, C rank, berserk strength, rank. No wonder the skeleton general couldn't one-shot them. So they had an extra rank talent and even improved attributes. I looked at the corpse of the forest treant in front of me, and then the prompt sounded. Obtained loot, berserk forest heart. This should be worth a little more than an ordinary forest heart, right? After casually killing a few forest treants that came running over to die, I wasn't very interested anymore. At this moment, I suddenly heard intense fighting in the distance. I hurried toward the sound and then saw a red-haired girl. Lin Mengwei was now filthy all over, with no intact part of her out. Fit, and she even had a wound on her arm. Lin Mengyao naturally also saw me. But what I didn't expect was that Lin Mengyao actually told me to run away quickly. Just then, the Lin Mengyao running in front was suddenly caught up to by a forest treant immediately after, a huge branch-like arm smashed straight down at Lin Mengyao. Watching that massive shadow suddenly appear, Lin Mengyao felt as if her breathing had stopped. Am I really going to die here? At the critical moment, the skeleton general rushed forward and blocked the attack. Then, seeing the skeleton general fighting more than 10 forest treants at once, I realized I was already tired of the Skeleton King's one-shot style and wanted to test the skeleton general's strength. Against those 10 plus mutated forest treants, the skeleton general actually had to use all of its talents. Although the skeleton general had already gone all out and had even summoned several skeletons to help, it was still torn apart by those more than 10 forest treants into a pile of bones. In the end, I more or less confirmed that my elite-grade skeleton general could probably fight 7 or 8 of these mutated forest treants. And once the skeleton general was dismantled into a pile of bones, the forest treant's target also turned toward me. Looking at the forest treants step-by-step approaching us, Lin Mengyao's fear instantly surged up again. Now that she could move again, Lin Mengyao subconsciously hugged me tightly from behind. Quick, quick, stop them! Lin Menyao's trembling voice spoke to me. Relax, they won't get through. Then a huge figure carrying an ancient sword charged toward those forest treants then. With a few swift risers and falls of the blade, the dozen or so forest treants had already turned into corpses. The system prompt sounded in my ear again. Obtained. Loot Forest Heart X13. Alright, they've all been dealt with. At this moment, Lin Manhwa opened her eyes and took a look. After confirming it was safe, she quickly let go. Seeing how pitiful she looked, I thought for a moment and said, "How about you? Just stay by my side until the trial is over." Lin Manhwa's eyes instantly lit up when she heard that. But she still said arrogantly, "Who needs your protection? This lady never asked you to protect me." Lin Manhwa was clearly scared stiff, yet she still insisted on being stubborn. Still, after thinking about it, I decided to give Lin Manhwa some face. Sure, miss. Lin, I'm the one who insists on protecting you, okay? That's more like it." Then Lin Manhwa naturally rapped her arm around mine, then the two of us strolled around inside the dungeon together. Finally, when the trial ended, Lin Manhwa and I came out of the dungeon, and only then did she let go. After I finished having my loot counted, I got ready to leave. Suddenly, I found that the school belle Shaye was actually waiting for me at the arena entrance and wanted to have dinner with me. Then the two of us came to Tianjin City's most luxurious restaurant, Unimon Pavilion. The average cost per person was 5 digits, but my pockets were pretty full now. Shaye looked at this familiar place in shock. She hadn't expected me to bring her somewhere like this. As the daughter of the Shaya family, Shayayu basically treated this restaurant like her cafeteria, but the prices here were not low. Shayayu was a bit worried. I wouldn't have enough money and decided she'd pay later. As soon as the two of us sat down, I saw an annoying figure, and that person also happened to see me and Shayayu sitting there. Lin, a flat, Turing voice full of fawning rang out, "Shayayu, why are you here eating too? Want to sit with us?" We picked a private room. Shayayu wore an expression as cold as frost and didn't even want to acknowledge the person in front of her. Seeing that Shayayu ignored him, Xiao Tiancheng was furious inside, but still kept a smiling face as he turned his head and saw me. "Already furry!" U.S. Xiao Tiancheng looked at me dressed in cheap street market clothes and immediately began to sneer. "Oh my, isn't this classmate Yuni? How do you even have money to eat at a place like this?" As he spoke, he also chastely fiddled with the expensive watch on his wrist. Then casually held up his luxury car key as well. I just wore an indifferent expression, only glanced at him once, then turned to Xiaoyu and asked, "Classmate Xiaoyu, what would you like to eat?" Seeing that Yun Ye ignored him, too, Xiao Tiancheng instantly exploded Imedi. Immediately after that, he took out a thick stack of blue star bills from his spatial backpack, then started smashing them against my head, stack after stack. As he did, he arrogantly shouted, "That's what you get for ignoring me. That's what you get for ignoring me." White bells and red banknotes flew all around Yun Yi, then fell to the floor one after another. Only after Xiao Tiancheng had finished smashing that entire pile of money, did he nod in satisfaction, then say in an extremely punchable tone, "Go ahead and pick up the money, whatever you pick up is yours." Then he burst out laughing after the money had finished. Being thrown, I simply tidied up and swept the scattered money on the ground aside around me, as if it were not money, but just sheets of blank paper. Seeing that I was still completely unmoved, Xiao Tiancheng was so furious his lungs were about to explode. He had never imagined that a poor kid like Yun Ye could stay indifferent in front of so much money. Seeing this, Shaya, you finally spoke first. "Xiao Tiancheng, what exactly are you trying to do?" She really couldn't stand the things Xiao Tiancheng was doing anymore. "What am I doing? Isn't it obvious? Isn't all of this for your sake?" Upon hearing Xiao Tiancheng's words, I finally couldn't hold back anymore. I stood up and said to Xiao Tiancheng with a grin, "So, you smashed me with money for Xiaoyu's sake, huh?" Then I directly walked over to Xiaoyu's side and grabbed Xiaoyu's soft, smooth, fair little hand. "Yun Yi, you're courting death." Xiao Tiancheng roared. At the same time, Xiaoyu's little face also began to flush slightly. She had never imagined that her progress with Yun Yi would suddenly become this fast. And this was all thanks to Xiao Tiancheng. So Shaya, you no longer found Xiao Tiancheng quite as annoying as before. Suddenly, Xiao Tiancheng thought of something and pointed at my nose, roaring, "Yun Yi, do you dare have an awakened duelist match with me? If I lose, I'll never appear in front of either of you again. And if you lose, then you'll kneel and apologize to me, and you'll never appear in front of Xiaoyu again?" When I heard that Xiao Tiancheng actually wanted to have an awakened duelist match, I instantly grinned from ear to ear. Awakened duels were the main method used by awakened professionals to resolve disputes. Of course, awakened duels generally only occurred when both sides' strength was relatively equal, so the level gap usually wouldn't exceed 5 levels. In other words, if Yan Yi was level 10, then the other side could be at most level 15. And as for my Skeleton King, let alone level 1-5, even if a level 20 awakened professional came, it might still beat them or even one-shot them. That wouldn't be impossible. I put away my smile, looked at Xiao Tiancheng's twisted expression, and shook my head. Then I said, "Fine. But if I win, I want 20 million from you." Xiao Tiancheng was convinced this poor brat couldn't possibly beat him, so he nodded, then turned and left directly. "And this meal, because of Xiao Tian?" Cheng's interruption was ruined. The next day, I directly called Fatty and asked for the Loca Tian of Tianqing City's black market. Naturally, I needed to make preparations for this duel. The black market had quite a few treasures. At that moment, while I was hurrying toward the black market, an urgent broadcast suddenly rang throughout the entire city. A riot of exotic beasts has broken out in all leveling zones outside the city. Citizens are requested to immediately head to the shelters. At the same time, at the city walls, less exotic beasts had completely surrounded the whole of Tianqing City. Although the awakened professionals responsible for resisting them were fighting desperately, compared to the endless horde of beasts, their attacks were like trying to stop a chariot with a mantis's arms. On the empty streets, I searched everywhere for the location of the shelter, but just then, a rumbling sound like an earthquake came from the distance. I instantly felt that something was wrong, so I had the Skeleton King carry me up onto a tall building. For long, a black mass of exotic beasts swarmed through the streets, like a locust plague, crazily ravaging everything in their path. When those flea mobs I usually killed casually suddenly appeared by the thousands, I had no choice but to stay far away, but at this moment, I also felt incomparably regretful. Damn it, why don't I have any long-range summon? ESE with this many monsters, if I casually threw out a couple of high damage skills, wouldn't my EXP grow insanely fast? I glanced at my evolution points around 2.5 million. If I used them to evolve epic grad summons, and each one costs 400,000 evolution points, then I could still make 6 epic grad summons. Of course, if I used them, the time needed to evolve the Skeleton King would be extended by 2 months. But with the situation right now, I couldn't hold back anymore. After all, not farming this many monsters would practically be a crime against heaven. First, I set my sights on the dumb-looking skeleton general. I never make empty promises to stupid skeletons. When I say, I mean, you'll be the first to evolve. Then I directly spent 400,000 evolution points to evolve the skeleton general into the Undead King. The system prompt sounded immediately after soon 400,000 to evolve into the Undead King race. Evolved into Undead Royalty? The dumb-looking skeleton general in front of me instantly disappeared, and what replaced it was a skeleton wearing a long black robe, holding a staff inlaid with a black gem, as if some powerful force were sealed inside it. Looking at my overwhelmingly cool and Undead King, I nodded in satisfaction and immediately checked its attribute summon. Undead King, Epic, Evolve. Able, Race, Undead Royalty. Tier 1, Level 7. Talents, Kings, Domain, S rank. Realm of Souls, S rank Undead. Revival, S rank King's Curse, A rank. Looking at that spirit stat as high as 200, as well as the 50,000 mana points, it was obvious that this Undead King was an absurdly broken mage. Then I checked its 4 talents, one by one. Kings, Domain. Provides all undead under its control with incomparable boosts to all kinds of attributes. Realm of Souls creates a zone of undead death within a certain range that causes erosion. Once the erosion reaches a certain extent, it results in death. Undead Revival can turn dead beings within a certain range into undead or transform them into soul flames for absorption and storage. For later summoning, King's Curse can cast the King's Curse, say on any living being. Upon death, that being will automatically transform into undead. After reading all 4 talents, I had only one feeling: I'm about to get an undead army. Then I turned my gaze to the exotic beasts below. Undead King, go! The Undead King then waved its staff, and immediately a purple light suddenly rose from the ground below. A huge magic circle appeared on the ground. The magic circle formed extremely quickly and covered a huge area. In a single instant, it enveloped a large group of the exotic beasts below, and those beasts standing inside the magic circle were continuously being pierced by strands of purple-black energy entering their bodies. The prompts also sounded, inside my system. Your summon, Undead King, has cast Realm of Souls, dealing 250 light damage to a forest giant bear, and 190 light damage to a giant wolf? Then countless system prompts, PTs appeared in my system. In no time at all, one after another, they all collapsed. Your summon, Undead King, has slain a level 10 forest giant wolf, and gained 127 EXP and 7 bonus EXP for killing above your level. One continuous stream after another of system notifications instantly filled my entire system panel. Watching the EXP rise like a tidal wave, I felt an incredible sense of satisfaction. So, this is the thrill of leveling up while just lying there? It feels amazing, but just when I wanted to raise my own level, I suddenly remembered that my level could only increase. After passing the first advancement trial, in an instant, I was speechless. Damn it, how can this be this disgusting? It's even capping my level. But considering the extra EXP for killing above my level, this wasn't too bad either. I looked at my huge pile of EXP that I couldn't use to level up. Although I felt it was a shame, there was nothing I could do. Once the beast ride is over, I absolutely have to finish the first advancement try. AL first. And as the exotic beasts inside the area were killed. The undead king cast its talents toward other directions as well. But I didn't forget to turn the monsters it had just killed into undead. I immediately gave an order. Undead king, use undead revival and turn those monsters you just killed into undead. Then the undead king waved its staff again, and the corpses scattered all over the ground slowly started rising. Your summon, undead king, used undead revival and awakened multiple undead. But what made my vision go dark was that those newly revived undead were almost instantly torn back into piles of bones. Watching that, my blood pressure shot up. Oh way, man, even an S-rank talent is this bad. Only when I looked at the undead king's completely emptied mana bar, did I suddenly realize that such a huge range must consume an enormous amount of mana? The first two casts of Realm of Souls had already consumed nearly 90% of the undead king's mana, and if undead revival was cast with only 10% mana left, then of course the undead it revived would get blown apart. Then, I took out a large mana potion from my storage backpack and tossed it to the undead king, then said, restore your mana for me. Look at the garbage undead you summoned. Hurry up, recover your mana, and summon again. After drinking the mana potion, the undead king waved its staff again. This time, unlike before, countless strands of purple-black energy floated out of the magic circle and madly surged toward the corpses lying on the ground. This time, the undead that crawled back up from the ground were no longer that sluggish, and they also retained 50% of their original attributes. Undead king, turn them into soul flames and store them for now. They're not needed in the current situation anyway. Upon receiving the order, the undead king once again waved its staff. Immediately after, purple-black flames burst out from the bodies of those undead, completely burning them to ashes. Then, those purple flames automatically flew into the undead king's staff. Not bad, not bad. My undead army already has dozens of undead now. Once the undead army reaches thousands upon thousands, that will be a real undead legion. When that time comes, it really will be absolute devastation, undead calamity, overwhelming enemies by sheer numbers. Then, I once again took several bottles of mana potions out of my backpack, preparing to continue the difficult mission of grinding monsters and expanding the undead army. Just then, I heard a child nearby crying loudly, continuously calling for their mother, so I brought the child with me toward the shelter. The undead king stayed behind with several bottles of mana potions to continue grinding. But just when I was still about 1 kilometer from the nearest shelter, I suddenly heard the sound of humans shouting. I rushed over immediately, and what I didn't expect was that among the surrounded humans was a familiar figure, Xiaoyu. At this moment, she and several awakened profs, Chanels, were trapped in a corner, unable to move. Although they were resisting with all their might, no matter how they used their skills and attacks, it was all futile, as the beast horde charged up again. After Xiaoyu exhausted all her mana and cast her last spell, she closed her eyes. Yunyi, it seems I can only keep liking you in the next life. But just as she shut her eyes tight, she heard the beast's torn and miserable screams. What was going on? Xiaoyu slowly opened her eyes, and the moment she did, she saw the figure she had been longing for day and night. Yi. Without the slightest hesitation, Xiaoyu directly ran over and tightly hugged my body. I thought I'd never see you again. But at this moment, my brain had completely frozen. I didn't know what to do, since the two of them at most could be considered classmates right now. Suddenly, a childish voice sounded out. Big brother, didn't you say you'd take me to find my mom? Where's my mom? Feeling my pant leg being tugged, I turned to look. It was that child from earlier. Hearing the child's voice, Xiaoyu was so startled that she immediately stopped crying and let go of me, then went to comfort the child beside us. At this moment, the other awakened professionals came over. Thanks to you, little brother. You actually managed to fight hundreds of level 10 exotic beasts by yourself. That summon of yours is really something. Hearing them mention Mescal-Eaten King, I hurriedly changed the topic. I absolutely couldn't expose Mescal-Eaten King. I very confusedly asked, where are the awakened professionals from Tianqing City's major associations and the city's official awakened military forces? Why haven't they come to reinforce us? Little brother, this you may not know. Everyone above level 10 has already been called to the city walls to resist the attack. Since the exotic beasts have already entered the city, it's obvious they couldn't hold the line there, the bearded middle-aged man said with a sorrowful expression. Through my conversation with that enclave, I learned that all of this happened because Tianqing City's lord was away. Tianqing City's lord was the city's only second advancement, level 50 awakened professional, the strongest one there, and he even had a second talent. He was also a mage, skilled in multiple large area damage spells. If he were here, then those monsters outside the city would never have been able to break through Tianqing City's defenses. And the very day he left Tianqing City encountered this riot of monster beasts, so I suspect this riot was intentionally triggered by someone. I still wanted to ask what he meant by some. one intentionally causing it, but for some reason, the uncle suddenly collapsed to the ground. Only when everyone rushed over to check did they realize the bearded uncle had already stopped breathing. He's dead. Everyone wore dumbfounded expressions. A living man who had just been standing there fine had just died like that? There's an enemy nearby. I was the first to react, and shouted. The others immediately formed a defensive ring, and all looked around in every direction, but even after a long time, there wasn't the slightest movement around us. That uncle had only leaked a little bit of information, and he had already been silenced in front of everyone's eyes. I didn't dare imagine what kind of person this was, or why they would target Tianqing City. Meanwhile, on the undead king's side, the undead king kept chugging potions while releasing all kinds of S-rank talents. Not only was EXP being farmed like crazy, the undead army had also amassed nearly 100 undead by now. But as the undead king kept grinding, it eventually realized there were no monsters or beasts left for it to kill. Tura finishing off the last monster, it recalled those undead and headed toward Myloka. Tyone? Then the undead king ran into a man who attacked it, although I had ordered it not to attack humans at will. I had also said that if a human attacked it first, it could counterattack. So, dreads of undead appeared before the undead king in a mighty flood. Then the undead king's staff suddenly emitted countless black streams of energy that surged toward those newly appeared undead. It was precisely the undead king's East-rank talent, King's Domain, in a tiny place like Tianqing City. There's actually someone with a level 10 summon? That figure looked at the talent the undead king had released and said in surprise, and judging from the look of it, it has at least 2 S-rank talents. So this isn't some ordinary epic grad summon, that fig? Yor looked at the undead charging toward him. Their bodies shrouded in black aura and gave a light laugh. Absolute stat suppression isn't something that can be overcome, so wisely then, with only